that we do have to do while we know that there are injustices, but also look at the look through the glasses so we can see the context. A couple of those things that you mentioned really bothered me, so I kind of did some footwork, you know, to also, you know, speak to some of those Arab women and ask them. And I got to tell you, for the women that don't drive in certain countries, they have chauffeurs. Give me a chauffeur any day of the week.
Right.
You know, where you want to go, Sister Chakirah? I want to go here. Okay, hold on. Can I get the door for you? Yes, please do. You know, so definitely while there's some truth, there's also some, you know, maybe some wisdom behind it as well. And I know a lot of the reports that came out in regards to Afghanistan was while they were, you know, unfortunately, the media does a very, very good job about highlighting, you know, things that, you know, may not be good at that time. And I know that they were going through some wars, you know. And I have a relative who was actually in Afghanistan trying to build a school specifically for the girls so that they could go to. But I know that sometimes, you know, when they weren't able to go was, you know, because of the wars. But I'm not, you know, discounting other things that have come out in the media as well. But I just wanted to add that.
And just adding to that, a lot of times when the media reports stories like that on Muslim women and Muslims in general, a lot of times it don't have nothing to do with Islam. It's more cultural than it is Islamic. It's just like measuring all Christians with David Koresh. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have the benefit of being able to come back behind whatever it is that they
As
say.
if there's not domestic violence in the Western world, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why the Final Call Newshour is a very important program. Another question. As a Muslim woman, what would you say in general, like what's most important to you?
I would say really first comes Allah, you know. Same would be, you know, Christians, God, same one, the one that created the heavens, the earth, and all in between. But really, you know, trying to make sure that I'm doing what's commanded of me, you know, and really, because that's hard. You know, I don't care what religion you are, you know, trying to have that peace, you know, and making sure that you're doing what's right. That's a difficult task. I mean, that would be my number one. What would you say, Asiyah?
Definitely. I mean, everything starts with, you know, la ilaha illallah. So it's first and foremost, and then trying to do what is best for yourself. The good thing about that is whatever you do, whether it be positive or negative, people around you are affected by it. So if I'm really striving to be the best Muslim woman I can be, my children benefit from that. My husband benefits from that. My patients benefit from that. My neighbors benefit from that. So I think it makes other things you have to do a little easier, actually. You know, it's like getting your own backyard in order makes those around you, I think, a lot healthier. So first and foremost, you got that. I think everything else. Not to say it's cake, because, you know, kids and all that. But you know what I'm saying? I think if you have, again, it's about priorities. If you have those priorities in order, I think it makes what you're trying to do a lot easier. And
then you have a guide, too. You know, so I mean, everything else that comes after that, okay, say I want to be a good mother. Well, I have a guide, you know. I have a guide as to what to do right, you know, in being a mother or a parent. You know, if I want to be a good wife, okay, I have a guide in that as well. You know, if everything's starting with, okay, trying to say that I want to put God at number one, you know, and then if you doing that, everything else, you know, will fall in. You're going to have your strifes, and you're going to have your problems, but you got something to fall back on. And I think, you know, you look at some of the social ills and the anxieties that people go through, they forgot who was number one. You know, because if you fall back, he got you. You know, they look at the Sealy mattress, you lay back, he got you. You know.
Praise be to Allah. Now, Islam, I just thought of this. Of course, Islam is one of the, well, not one of the, but is the fastest growing religion in the world. And so, you know, propagation of the faith is huge in terms of, you know, us being Muslims. How is it that you are able to propagate or encourage other sisters who aren't Muslim, you know, to look at the faith?
I think the biggest part of da'wah, because I don't do the whole proselytizing. It's not who I am, and even before I was Muslim, I was really annoyed at people that did. I think the best form of dawah that we sometimes don't give enough credit to is by practicing the deen yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think I will teach people more about this religion by my practicing what it is I say I believe, or what I say that Islam says. So I don't proselytize. I don't preach. I do try to have like an open door kind of with, and people are just sometimes a little standoffish. It's like, can I ask you something? You know, 'cause they're always afraid, which is a good thing. I think people are afraid that they may offend me. And I tell them, please ask me a question. No such thing as a stupid question, because I'd rather you ask me and walk away with the correct information than walking away believing some nonsense, which so often is what happens. So.
Absolutely.
Like right now we're in Ramadan, so my company's used to me doing this, but I'll put just around my own office, I'll just put information just in case, and they'll ask me. In fact, I had a coworker become Muslim just from information that was up, and because they notice I'm not eating, or they'll say, why do you fast? You know, and I say really and I'll go into the reasons why we fast, and people go, I mean, because really, I mean, you've had that experience, because really, there's just so much that goes on in the world as far as the chaos, to actually, either that or the opposite side of the good, where you're trying to then, use whatever drugs to, stifle that, whether it be, the TV, or just be the entertainment, or you just, get into your music. But there's so much that people use, to kind of go over some of their own problems, that when you talking about religion, or you being sincere, they're just like, because there's so much nonsense where people really don't have an intelligent conversation anymore, and the stuff that you do see is so negative. So, I mean, I think like what she said, just by being you, it's a whole different vibe. When somebody meets you, isn't it a different vibe? Isn't your conversation and your rap different than somebody else's? Hey, baby, what's up? How you doing? I mean, seriously, right? It's a different. It has thought behind it, and people are attracted to that because then it's intellect,
Right. I agree with both of you 1,000%. Just knowing that Islam is not just a religion, even though it is a religion, but that more importantly, it's a way of life. Right. That we could exemplify what we are, as opposed to going somewhere on Friday or going somewhere on Sunday and being it that day, but then the rest of the week you something different.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I agree. It's being an example is the best way to bring people towards not just, like I said, a religion, but a totally different way of life. Because when you change the way you eat, when you change the way you think, you begin to look different. And you don't have to have a hijab, or you don't have to have on a suit. People can see the light of the God in your face. So you're absolutely right that, it's all about being yourself. Being yourself and being the best example of what a Muslim is. Beautiful thing. Now, we talked about the woman and a little bit about mistreatment of women in regards to Islam and cultural differences. Minister Farrakhan quoted, he said that the problem with the world, the whole world, is the mistreatment of women. Now, do you agree with that statement, or if so, why?
I think the problem with the world is a disbelief.
Yeah,
I think it starts.
I was going to think that too.
I think it starts with that. To me, it's always really sad that we have all of these. We live on this planet, and everybody, touts some kind of faith. I'm Buddhist, I'm Muslim, I'm Jew, whatever. And to me, it's really sad that we have all of these people on the planet believing in a creator, or so we say, and yet we hate each other. One of my slogans is that we say we love the creator and hate his creation. So for me, it's like if we really, believed what it is we say we believed, and then practice that, simply just practice what it is that our faiths tell us, we wouldn't be at odds to the degree that we are. And because everything starts with that faith or lack of, then it's talking about, like earlier, about having priorities in order. once that's out of whack, once your faith, your iman, is out of whack, everything else will follow suit. You know, it's like when we talk about Muslim women being the victims.